It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today as we finish out the week here on the channel. Today is a Friday, and I have what I think will be a very enjoyable Masterpiece Friday edition for all of you. So today we're listening to music from Pink Floyd, one of our favorite bands here on the channel. However, it's been since October of last year since we've heard any music from Pink Floyd here on the channel. So it's been too long since we've heard from them, and this will be my 26th video dedicated to this band's music. I have very much enjoyed getting to know all of the eras of this band, and today we're going back to the pretty darn earliest days of the band to a song on their first album. It's called Interstellar Overdrive. I've never heard it before, and I'm looking forward to diving into it today with y'all. So this one begins side 2 of their debut album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which was released in August of 1967. Our friend Ray was the person who submitted this one to us, and he says this: there's psychedelic sounds all through the album, but this is the track where things really get wild. At the beginning, they state the main theme. At the end, they state it again. In the middle, anything goes. And when Pink Floyd's experimental, free-form tendencies meet the endless possibilities of studio recording technology at Abbey Road, the band can really let loose and explore. And then he says, get loaded and put on your moodiest lights. Well, I've got a few different colors there. I've got my purple lights on. That's as good as I can do, Ray. And he says, because you're going to go for a ride. No one else sounded quite like Pink Floyd in 1967. They mixed unmoored exploration with just the right amount of rhythmic through line and never let their sonic colors dull. Well, thank you, Ray, for sending this one in. Guitarist Syd Barrett was the one that composed the main section of this that we'll hear at the beginning and at the end. And he was expounding, as I read, on a tune that their manager was humming and trying to remember a tune in his head. And he's like, that sounds cool. So he played with that and gets this instrumental piece. And the piece ends up becoming one of the early examples of experimental rock and roll, of psychedelic rock and roll, and of free improvisation within a rock and roll context. So Ray sent me several versions of this song to choose from, and I have chosen to go with the original studio recording since I have not yet heard that one. And then we're going to go to a live recording that they filmed for television at the Fillmore West in 1970. So we'll get to see them doing their thing a little bit as well. So let's start with the original version. On this studio version, we've got Syd Barrett on guitar, Roger Waters on the bass guitar, Rick Wright is on the Farfisa organ, and Nick Mason is on the drums. Here we go, y'all. This is Interstellar Overdrive from Pink Floyd. Here we go. Here comes the bass. So they're playing in octaves. It's an E major chord. Down by half step. Bum, bum. Bum, bum. So they're almost completely down the chromatic scale. So it's a fifth of the key. B to B flat to A. G sharp to G, a minor third, and then Re to Do. Lands back on E, but when they land on that chord, it sounds like a major chord. Interesting. It's not much of a theme. Just kind of a scale fragment. but that repeats. And things are starting to break down. Okay. Make sure there's not any small furry animals in a cave or something. I know better than that. Haven't done much with the tempo. But they're starting to really shift and go in and out of time. What's gonna happen? So the percussion completely drops. Just some pizzicato plucking. Now from the bass and the guitar, but the organ from Rick Wright is what I really hear underpinning this. It's a different kind of listening. I'm not really listening for motives that are going to return or melodies that are going to be important or even progressions. They don't even know what they're going to be playing next. You know? You just become just a spectator, here to witness what they do instinctually. So Roger's over here on his bass. Downward chromatics. I think that's in the organ, because the bass guitar's over here. Thank goodness for Richard Wright. I think he's the hero of this track, y'all. The colors that he's bringing out from the organ really cool, but they allow for a lot of freedom from the other guys. He's kind of giving them a palette. the cymbals there. Just listen to Richard. Just kind of taking those opening, descending half steps and just moving these voicings around. The question is, what's going to be their cue to get back into the main theme? So now they're kind of listening to each other and kind of adapting that downward chromatic line. Is that the cue to get back in when Sid plays the descending line? Well, because it's so chromatic itself, it can just come back over anything. Oh, Sid's playing the main theme again. We should start playing the main theme. They didn't credit the performer who's on the pan knob. Makes it even more psychedelic. Now it sounds like an airplane's landing. We even got the Doppler effect in there. And it cuts off. Ray told me about that. He's like, there's no fade. It goes directly into the next song on the album. That was really interesting, y'all. A whole different type of listening experience. I mean, normally we have things all planned out and ready to go. You know, we've got a verse, we've got a chorus, maybe we've got a second verse, another chorus, I got a bridge, maybe there's a solo here and there, and we have a schematic for how we're going to organize our ideas. Classical music has a bunch of forms to it as well. This form is theme A, improv, theme A, with some panning. Call it good. And whatever happens in the middle is whatever happens in the middle on that particular night. Really, really fun. So the next version that we're going to hear is them doing it live. And they played this at the Fillmore West, the historic venue in San Francisco, on April 29th of 1970. And it was filmed for television and for broadcast on the local channel KQED. And this particular version is almost 16 minutes long, where the studio version that we just heard was just shy of 10 minutes. So they're going to be doing some other stuff here in the middle. And by this time, Syd Barrett had departed the band, so David Gilmour has joined the band and replaced Syd Barrett on guitar. So let's waste no more time. Let's get right to this other version. This is Pink Floyd doing Interstellar Overdrive live at the Fillmore West in 1970. Here we go. The early years. There's Roger. I haven't seen much early footage of these guys. So this is going to be exciting for me. What kind of gear shift was Richard moving around? That was cool. It's just exciting to get to see them. Wow, that's cool. Major chord. There's that descending chromatic line, played a little bit differently by David. And as they're going down, they don't go through flat 2. Sol, flat, sol, to, fa, mi, may. Just re, to. It's almost a heavy metal riff. Nice. Could be a Black Sabbath riff. Even as we're starting to get into these variations or this free improvisational space, they're sticking in the relative key that they've been in E, and just kind of playing fragments here and there. But it still relates back to that theme, at least so far. I keep waiting for them to invite Jimmy Page on stage with his guitar and his bow. It's like the Eye of Sauron back there. Fascinating. Man, no, it's a black hole. It's a heck of an effect. I'm glad I've only smoked a little. That actually is burning. I'll be darned. Listen to the sounds that they're getting out of their instruments. You practice scales, you practice your chords, you practice your technique, but occasionally you have to just spend some time experimenting on your instrument. What kind of sounds can I get out of it? You know? Show them off in a piece like this. Richard's taking some of that chromaticism in the main riff and crafting these exotic scale passages out of them. And you notice as Richard's going more chromatic and scale-like, Roger listens and ends up just giving him a focal point, a pedal point to do all that off of. Because not only are they doing their own thing on their own instruments, they're intently listening to the players around them. And you've always got one part of your brain focusing on what you're doing and the other part of your brain thinking about what you might be able to do next based on what everybody's up to. And you just live in that state of mind. It's exhilarating. It's nice of them to give us some space images. Imagine living in San Francisco in 1970 and this coming on the television late at night after you've been smoking all evening. It's quality programming. See, combinations of whole steps and half steps. Just some pentatonics there from Roger in the bass. Just establishing that E. And in this hearing, the descending chromatics, just, especially if you do them at slightly different times, it just gets an eerie quality to it. See, David just played a descending minor scale and then they landed on the E and Richard made it a major chord. They're just playing with all of those notes in the scale. Nice. Really nice way to get back into the theme. It redeveloped almost as slowly as it deconstructed the first time. It's really well paced. Woo. Whoa! Now we're really getting psychedelic. Holy shit, they blew up the planet. That's a cool performance, y'all. That last chord's got something to say. Wow. Yep, okay. It's time to put your tray tables into their upright and locked positions. The plane is landing. But one guy liked it. That was incredible. It was incredible. I love the interspersion of the live stuff and the space imagery and all that. That was really cool. And I think I liked the live performance as much or better than I liked the original. what a unique piece, right? Imagine going to a rock and roll show and going, when do I clap? When do I sing along? Okay, that's a quarter hour. What else are they going to do? You know, it's an amazing thing. So I want to talk for a second about free improvisation, which is what they're doing. So we're not talking about improvising a solo. Okay? With a solo, you know, we're into a song. We have an understood tempo, a meter, a key even, a progression, and then with that information, we can improvise melodically over the top of it, right? We know about how many bars that we have allotted for me to do my solo, so I can pace it and figure out when I want to kind of build up and how to do that. If it's a relatively short solo, I don't want to have a long extended introduction to my solo, but if it's going to be over several minutes, then I'm going to pace it differently, right? So with free improvisation, the musicians just start playing, and they don't have a plan, they don't have a progression, they don't have a set tempo, they don't have anything mapped out. They're just relying on their musical instincts, on their intuition, and on their collaborative ears. You really have to listen to the people around you. I mentioned that it's an exhilarating experience. I've actually done a free improvisation in front of people only once. That was really a free improvisation. I did it with my friend John Franick, and actually it was at a relatively low stakes setting. It was at a church service, a church where I work, where we were going. John happened to be there, and we needed to come up with, or I did. I was the pianist at the time, and I was going to come up with some soothing music for about 4 or 6 minutes while people in the congregation took communion on that particular Sunday. And I about 30 seconds before I started, I looked over at John and I said, "Hey, come over and sit at the organ." The organ is right next to the piano. And he's like, "Okay." He comes over and I turned it on and I set the stop for him. He's not an organist. So I set just a basic 8-foot flute because we're going to play relatively soft. And I said, "Let's just improv it." And so we started. We didn't tell each other what key. We didn't tell each other anything. We just paid attention to the surroundings. He kind of went off of me for when we needed to close because I could see what was going on with the rest of the congregation. And for about 5 or 6 minutes, you're out there without a net and without even an idea of where to go next. And you've got somebody else's musical ideas and musical instincts that you have to pair with it. And it's thrilling. It really is thrilling, even in a low stakes situation like that. I mean, these guys are in front of thousands of paying customers, right? How thrilling must that feel? Me, I was only in front of like 50 or 60 people. And it was thrilling and quite memorable for me. So yeah, doing free improvisation as a musician is quite a hoot. And here, Pink Floyd has chosen to adhere to a composed theme to start and conclude the piece. But when they get in the middle, it really is completely in the moment. It seems like not preconceived, no planning, no discussion, and they're just listening to see what other people are going to do. Now, if they do it often, they might get into patterns that they like to personally include in these sections, and they might get used to that. But it's different every night, and they never know how long it's going to go, and they never know exactly how or what they're going to play. And it's a really exciting thing. In the classical world, we do have a little bit of this as well. I mean, the classical world, we're talking about music that's typically very notated and very intentional. But I would say John Cage, the composer in the 20th century, John Cage was one of the pioneers of what we call indeterminacy. And that's where the work is notated somewhat, but the performance is really left up to chance. So they're given like, okay, here's a collection of notes. You can choose how loud, how fast, how, when, in what range, all that sort of stuff. And based on a time, a set amount of time for these 30 seconds, you're going to do that. And different people are doing different things. I've also studied improvisatory classical style pieces from composers like Henry Cowell, Charles Ives, Pierre Boulez is another one. Paulina Oliveros is one that comes to mind. We've also got some jazzers who specialize in free jazz, they call it. The saxophonist Ornette Coleman was an early pioneer. John Coltrane was a person that did some free jazz. And here Pink Floyd is just adapting the same sensibilities to the middle portion, the improvisatory section of this piece. It's a courageous thing for them to do, isn't it? It's also a freeing thing as a musician, right? Like nobody has any expectations of what's going to happen, so you don't have the weight of living up to expectations on your shoulder. All you're thinking about is being creative and being a creative artist in the moment. It's pretty fun. If you've never tried it, go for it sometime. Start small, but try it. It's a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun to hear this piece, y'all. I'd never heard Interstellar Overdrive. And, this experimentation that we can get in composition and the recording technology combined with, this need for, I don't know, expanded personal expression during this time period, right? 1967, 1970. I think the social upheaval of the time was really, along with this, expanded personal expression. Like, I got to be me. I've got to get my voice out, and it's kind of a revolutionary time. And the recording technology is jumping light speeds, and so are the musicians. And we get this explosion of improvisatory and psychedelic inspired sounds. And it's kind of a snapshot in time, isn't it? Miles Davis is doing some crazy jazz stuff around this time. We're starting to get King Crimson during this time, and just a wealth of music that is exploratory and experimental. And so it was fun to take some time today to hear some truly experimental and freely improvised. I can talk, y'all, I promise. It really was fun to hear it today. A different kind of listening experience, for sure. But it was really fun to get to Pink Floyd for the first time this year. Y'all, it's been too long since we heard from this band, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I am able, but that is all for me today and this week. I thank you very much for being with me. We'll see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.
It's the Daily Doug. Welcome to the Daily Doug. The Daily